Here we are inside the auto sleeper symbol. If we firstly come to the main control panel just here, we will turn the 12 volts on, just on this button just here. Once we've done this, we can then turn the water pump on and off. We need the water pump on to be able to get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler up if it's been drained. We then have the main isolator for all the lights in the van. They can then be all individually turned on and off on their own switches. Next we have awning light on and off. This button here does nothing. It's a generic control panel and auto sleeper do not use it. Next we have battery selection. So we can switch between the leisure battery and the vehicle battery. Whichever battery you've selected on here is the battery you are charging when you are hooked up to main supply. And then the last button just here turns the tank heaters on and off. So if you are using the van in cold climate, you can put this on to stop the tanks from freezing up. These arrows here give us information via scrolling. So if we go back to the beginning, you'll see we have external temperature. This is just letting us know that we have main supply connected, the time, and then the internal temperature. We can just have it displaying as a clock. The next one is so we can alter the clock and alarms, etc. So we can set the clock just here and then just use your arrows. We can set an alarm if we want to, so when you want it to go, and you can turn the alarm on and off just here, and then you can also have a countdown timer as well. Next we have condition of the leisure battery, how many amp hours are in the leisure battery. You then have battery amps just here. Condition of vehicle battery, condition of leisure battery, how much water is in the fresh tank and how much water is in the waste tank, and then back to the beginning again. Beside that, we then have the Truma control panel for the heating and hot water. We have a dial this side and a dial this side. This side here literally picks the power source that you want to be using. So we can use main supply at 2 kilowatts, main supply at 1 kilowatt, so just depending on the amperage of the site that you're on to stop yourself from tripping, gas on its own, or we can use dual fuel, so gas and mains electric at 1 kilowatt and gas and mains electric at 2 kilowatt. Dual fuel is very handy, especially in the winter months if you just want to get up to temperature nice and quickly. Once we've decided, so let's just say we want to use main supply for the minute, we then come to this side to decide whether or not we just want hot water or just want heating or a mixture of both. So at the moment we're off, so if we now flick up, this is hot water at 40 degrees, and then if I flick up again, this is hot water at 60 degrees. You'll get an amber light this side just to let you know that you're using main supply. And you get an amber light here just to let you know that the boiler is working up to temperature, and then once it achieves the temperature you've asked, this will go out to let you know. If we now go back to off and we flick down, this little flame on this side just represents the space heater. So now we have the space heater on its own, and we then control the temperature just here. And then if I flick it down again, we then have hot water at 60 degrees and the space heater on. And then back to off again. Next we have the Avtex TV just here. So with this, behaves like any normal TV, so we've got on and off just here. Voila. You then have all the normal stuff that you would find. TV guide just here. And then if you need to do retune, the easiest one is this button just here. Just press it, hold it at the screen. It will then take you back to the retune menu, and then just hit OK, and it will then commence tuning in. In the wardrobe itself, you will find the digital amplifier for the television area on the roof, on and off just here, and then control the boost just here on the inner dial. You'll also find in here just where the television is plugged into. If we now pop up this bench seat just here, you will see underneath here we have the location of the leisure battery just here, the battery charger just here, the solenoid that just allows the flow rate from the smart fill on the outside of the motorhome. We then have the boiler just here, and the boiler drain valve just located here. This particular drain valve is automatic, so if the temperature inside this motorhome drops below about 3-4 degrees, this valve will automatically open to frost protect itself. If that happens, this little button just here will pop out and the boiler will drain down. What we can also do if we're manually draining is twist the blue diamond just here, and then the bottom button will pop out and all the water will then drop out the boiler that way. If when you go to refill the boiler up and you're trying to push this button back in and it will not reset, either this is in the wrong place or it's too cold in the van and you'll need to turn your heating on, generate a bit of heat to then allow it to reset. Also in here we have the majority of the gas taps for the van. They're all in the on position, and quite frankly they can stay like that. I always say if you smell gas in the van, it's always best to go underneath it and isolate the bottle at the source. Next, if we then just move along, we then have the consumer unit just here. So we have the trip switches just here. So we have the 3 individual MCBs and the RCD and the test button, and they are labelled up just here. And then we have the 12 volts just here. So if something's not working on 12 volts, just see whether or not a fuse is blown. And again, they're numbered up and then corresponding the auto sleeper manual. Above it you'll see buttons, and they are exactly the same as what you find on the main control panel. And then we also have this black button here which is full system shutdown. So if you're not using the van for long periods of time, what you can do is just press this button just here and it will kill any residual draw on the leisure battery. And then the isolator switches just here are for the heating and hot water on main supply. So if we turn these off here, the Truma combi system just will not work on mains. Obviously if we turn the battery charger off, we will not be charging the batteries when we're hooked up to main supply. The one that's not illuminated will illuminate if you have reverse polarity connected to the van. You do not need to worry about doing anything. These newer units will reverse it and make it safe within the van. And you will also find underneath here the isolator switch for the waste tank heater. So if you have turned the tank heaters on and you haven't got any water in the waste tank, you can isolate it just here. Next we have the microwave just here. The isolator switch is just here. Do make sure that the plate is all removed for travel. And it behaves like most microwaves. You have quick start just here, stop, timer just here, etc. Power settings. We have the 3 gas rings just here, and they are just pushy and twist and press the igniter. There we go. We then have the oven and the grill just here. So push in to the left for the oven. There we go. And then if we then push in and go to the right, we'll then fire up the grill. Sink just here, and the draining board just there. We then have the Thetford fridge just here, on and off on this button just here. So if I hold it in, I've now turned the unit off, and if I hold it again, I've now turned it back on again. You'll see you get a small little green light. We are currently using main supply, the little picture of the 2-pin plug, and we're at maximum cooling level. If I want to view again what everything's doing, we just press this grey button here and it will re-illuminate. If I want to change power source, all we do is we hold the grey button in, and you'll now see it begins to flash. We then use the arrows to then pick. So after main supply, we have 12 volt maintained for when we're driving. And then we have the little picture of the flame just there for gas. So let's say we want to use gas for a minute, press the grey button again. It will then move to the temperature control, adjust to what you require, and then press the grey button for the final time. These automatically ignite themselves, you don't need to do anything else. If it fails to light, and it may just be due to a bit of air in the system, just turn the unit back off and then turn it back on again, and it will attempt to fire up again. But I will now put it back onto main supply for the minute, and then it's just pull to open. We then have the washroom just here. So we have the Dometic toilet just here. To open to the cassette, just pull the grey lever towards you like so, and it's then just press the flush just here, and then to close back up again, just push back in. You will get an illumination here when the cassette is half full, and then another one if it's completely full. You will get an illumination just here if you have not correctly inserted the cassette, and we can ignore this one here because this particular model flushes directly off the main water tank. It does not have its own separate header tank. Basin just pulls down just here, and then just push away slowly to drain, and then we have shower just here.